Hello everyone, welcome to the very first Bac2theBasics fishing episode. I'm your host, Gary Cook, and today we're taking you guys out to Lake Mead, Pennsylvania, where I'm going to be joining brothers Matthew and Donald Cook for a day out on the boat in the hopes of catching some really nice wranglers. So without further ado, let's get started.
High-powered bass boats, we don't get full. This is max speed, 10 mile an hour.
Okay, so where are we headed?
We're gonna head up to Mud Run Cove. That's what we call it, because that's where the Mud Run comes in at. Pretty much the furthest point out from the launch that we hit, and then we'll work our way back throughout the day for all our other spots.
So you fished just about anything, or anything you're gonna target today?
Whatever will eat a minnow or a crawdad. Based on experience, that's crappie, yellow perch, mudcat, or bullhead catfish, and the occasional striper, largemouth bass. Just depends. Pulpers I got. They don't have a spring on the. They have this little rubber grommet that slides up and down, and it tightens well, but it just, you got to remember to do it because it's not spring loaded.
So is your plan to lure them in, or are you just gonna cast and let them sit out there?
What?
You.
Me?
Yeah.
Cast and let it sit. That's what I do with
Yep.
Let the bobber do the work.
Now, so Dad's using a minnow, you're using crawdad.
Not yet.
I'm using like a fake crawdad. What would be the best bet for me? To lure it in or to?
Well, that's what you have on is a lure. So you're gonna want to cast at part spots you think there's fish, and work it. Make it look like it's, a crawdad or whatever the bait is. That's supposed to be a crawdad.
Right.
So work it so that the fish thinks that's what it is. So you're gonna be like bumping it, bringing it in around the rocks and stuff, and hope you attract something that'll pick it up. Me, I'm gonna throw it up there. Let the wind and the little bit of current that's here move my bobber around and get attracted to a fish, come see it, and voila.
Now, as I go to cast this, what kind of motion am I looking on doing here?
Well, it's supposed to be a crawdad, right?
Right.
So make it look like, you wanted to make it act like a crawdad swimming.
So
Crawdads swim backwards, and they do that doom 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 doom. So they can only their backward swim moves only as much as one stroke of their tail.
Right.
So when you're reeling it, of course you're going to want to mimic that action of that tail, making them swim. So it's a boom 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 boom. Like a jerky action.
So give it a little jerk with like some slow reeling kind of motion.
Or you want to do like a quick jerk and reel, and then you want to let it drop a second, and then another quick jerk and reel. But you don't ever really want it to let it hit the bottom, because crawdads don't do that until they're ready to go to the bottom. They do that, pop, 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 swim, and when they're done swimming, they just stop.
Right off the bat, Matt and Don seem to be doing pretty good. Unfortunately for me, I was the only one who seemed to be having trouble catching a fish that day. Until about 2 hours in.
Now you are gone, Gabe.
What? Oh, okay. Hold it this way.
Put your right foot down. Feeling that slack. Yank it as hard as you can.
Right now?
Yep. Fast and hard.
Go. No, you go. Yeah, there you go. No, don't keep yanking.
You got it.
Oh, I got it.
Right tip up.
Right tip up. Hold up. Come on.
Okay.
Yeah, yellow perch.
Yellow perch. No, that must be.
Even though we had started the day off catching some pretty small yellow perch, we still had a long day to go, and we knew it was only a matter of time till we'd start reeling in some really good sized wranglers. After talking with the guys, we had decided to move on to a little place that Matt likes to call the crappie hole. where we could catch some really nice crappie, yellow perch, and hopefully even some bass. So we are at the crappie hole. Now, what is the best bait for fishing crappie?
Minnow.
Minnow?
Minnow is hands down the best bait for crappie.
Smaller.
Smaller the better?
About
Yay big.
Yeah, 2 inch.
2 to 2.5. Yep.
Not that big.
Well,
When they start biting, it don't matter. As long as it's a minnow.
yeah, if they start biting, it don't matter.
Last year I
Even
caught.
dead ones.
Yep, even dead ones. Last year I caught a 5-inch crappie on a 5-inch minnow.
Oh wow.
When they start biting, it don't matter.
Sure enough, that's what happened. Minnows out in the water and it was a feeding frenzy.
Nice one. Keep him down. That's it down. Keep him in the water.
In the water.
Woo! Catch him there, buddy.
Hey,
I got it. Slowly bring him up to the surface. Bring him to the surface. All the way.
Got him?
Out. Yep.
Nice.
Gosh.
This was my first crappie I'd ever caught, and it was a monster-sized crappie for the area we were fishing. Its length ended up being 15 inches, one of the biggest we'd seen in Lake Mead. Not 20 minutes later, Don started to reel in the very first largemouth of the day.
Oh.
Is that a bass or?
Got him.
There you go.
Nice.
Got a good footage of him?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now, as the family tradition goes, we always check for 3 things: who caught the first fish, who caught the biggest fish, and who caught the most fish. And Don's was going to be tough to beat, seeing how his was a bass over 16 inches. Not long after, Matt had caught a 13-inch yellow perch, leaving us all tied up for the most fish caught, and the bites did not end there.
There you go, Don.
Not a keeper?
No.
You in that? Well, the day was winding down to an end, and the results were in. The largest fish caught that day was by Matthew Cook, a 17-inch largemouth bass. Unfortunately, we weren't able to capture this footage, but that's alright, the record was still on. It was also the first one to capture a fish that day, so hearing that as well. The most amount of fish was caught by Donald Cook, 5 fish total. 2 crappie, 2 yellow perch, and a 16-inch largemouth bass. I didn't get any records, but that's alright. I had my 15-inch crappie and a 13.5-inch yellow perch. But overall, I like to say it was a good day. We got a good amount of footage. We were very, very blessed. Now, I'd like to switch it over to Donald Cook, who likes to give a little educational piece for the new fishermen and people who are just curious about the things we do here. I'm gonna go ahead and switch it over to him. Be right back with you guys.
So on today's episode of Back to the Basics, we'd like to show you a few of the items that we used. These are the very basic stuffs that we use during fishing. Most of them being stuff like rod, reel, line, hooks, swivels, but some of the most common questions we get about in swivels and hooks is how do you tie a good knot? How do you make sure it's not going to come off your line? So what I'm going to show you today is what we call the basic 10 twister knot. I don't know if everybody calls it that, that's what we call it. It's on the back of every swivel package. I have a little bit different version than that, but it's very similar, pretty basic. So we have a swivel, and what we have here today is this is a swivel-less swivel, and I'll show you the difference here. You got a swivel-less swivel, and here's a regular swivel. Now a regular swivel, it actually will spin while it's on the line. This swivel-less swivel just kind of hangs on. And we'll talk later about what the difference is and where we want to use those. I use the swivel-less swivel 90% of the time. So how do we tie this? So we take our swivel, and it could be either swivel or hook, basically where we have that eyelet where we're going to make our tie at, and we're going to put the line through the hole, and and we're going to pull back enough, and we're going to do what's called the 10 twist. Now, I always get myself planning to hang myself. So basically when I say hang yourself, it's kind of what you're doing. You're kind of creating a noose. So we're going to just start spinning this swivel around and around. And we're going to count 10 turns. Now I sometimes err on the side of caution, and I will put in there 12, 15 spins sometimes, but you know, it's supposed to be at least 10. Right now I guarantee you there's about 15 different twists in that line. One thing to know about line is it actually functions better if it's a little wet. So I'm going to actually lick my line to make it slide a little bit easier. And then what we do is we take that top piece, that single little wire right there that we pulled back, that we double back on, and we got a big hole down here where we've created the swivel, right above the swivel. So we're going to fish that through that hole, and we're going to grab a hold of it, and we're going to pull. We're just basically, we let go of the swivel at that point. We're just going to pull this line down, right? Now you're going to have to grab your swivel. This is a pretty stiff line, so I'm going to grab my swivel. I'm just going to pull the main line back, and you're going to see it kind of locks down. It creates that hangman's noose effect, all right? And that's what you have. It's that hangman's noose pull, and that's not going to break loose. Then you're going to want to trim this excess off. You see a lot of guys a lot of times leave this excess dangling on there. You don't want to do that. That can get hung up in, you know, running a bobber, or maybe split shots, swivels, whatever, or you know, or some kind of spin bait. So we want to trim this all the way back. And I don't have a knife with me, so I'm going to do it the back to the basic style. A lot of times we're just out there with nothing. So I can hear my mom right now. You're going to break your teeth, but yeah, that's it. We're going to trim that off of there. And while we're talking about that, I'm going to show you a few more of the basic items. Some of the stuff we use all the time are hooks. Hooks are our biggest friend because we do a lot of live bait fishing. So we have large hooks, we have small hooks, we have hooks with lines on them, hooks without line on them. We've got what they call treble hooks. I've got 3 hooks on one. We got specialty hooks that's got a hook with a spear on it. All these hooks have a different function, different use, different reason for existing. And it's good to know the different reasons. This is your standard hook. This is actually a pretty heavy hook. This wire that's on here is really heavy. Probably use something more for like either trolling or some just big fishing, big cat fishing or something like that. You want plenty of pool. And the size, you know, you're looking for the size of the hook. What does the size of the hook mean? Well, you know, you might be fishing for a larger fish, so we want that big hook, so it hooks into his meat. We got it. Some fish you want smaller hooks for, like trout. So yeah, different variety of different things that we use, and that's pretty much how we do it. Back to the basics.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the very first ever Back to the Basics fishing episode. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, be sure to hit that thumbs up button and also hit that subscribe button so you guys can hear more about our future videos coming up. Also, be sure to visit our Facebook page. We have some cool gear that we're getting lined up. And on top of that, if you have any comments or any ideas for our future videos, be sure to let us know. I'm Gabriel Cook. I'll see you guys next time on Bac2theBasics.com.